What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview. Every single week, we interview top badasses and just straight up top epic, amazing entrepreneurs that are out there doing big things, right? They're choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, their families, as well as have a big impact on others while they exist. So today, guys, another epic, amazing guest on the show, entrepreneur, realtor, team leader. Actually, the number are 2015 and 2016, the number one realtor, number one team in New Hampshire. His team is successfully now sold over $325 million in gross volume sales. So really stoked and honored to have Adam down on the show, my friend.
Oh, happy to be here.
Yeah, no, this is going to be great, man. So you know, you're doing a lot of big things. I mean, people will see your numbers and what you're doing and you know, but they don't always understand the journey that led you here. You know, like I know when I first got into real estate 12 years ago, I'd put guys like these top mega producers on these big pedestals. And I thought, man, they maybe had something I didn't. And, you know, when you start to learn more about them, it's just like, man, it's just that consistency, that hard work over the years and just putting in that work. And before we get into what you're doing today, because again, you experiencing massive growth and you're just killing it. I'm really intrigued in your journey. You know, like, well, I mean, if we rewind the clocks, what led you into real estate in the first place?
Well, it's actually a pretty funny story. I was on monster.com. It was the year 2003. Basically, I worked for a company that was doing a .com in the era that everything was .bombing. So my company, I could see the writing on the wall. The company was about to go out of business. So here I am on monster.com looking for jobs. And at the time, the job market wasn't that great. So I'm thinking, you know, I'm applying for these jobs that I'm overqualified for and not even getting those ones. So I clicked on an ad that was Coldwell Banker, and they said, we're hiring. You know, at the time, I had nothing, no research into real estate, really nothing. And so I called the phone number, and the guy said, come on in. It's in my hometown. I grew up in the town I serve. So I went into the Coldwell Banker office and they said, yeah, we'll hire you. And I'm like, great, I got a job. Not really knowing it was completely commission based. And I was actually just going to get a Christmas tree with my family. So I came back, told my wife, I said, you know what, I think I'm going to get into real estate. And I got a job. She's like, what are you talking about? So 3 months later, I was licensed. I was sitting at my desk and trying to figure out the real estate thing.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. Love it. So then, yeah, it's funny how life just works and how these opportunities come up, man. So, all right. So you respond to this ad, ends up not really being a job, and a bit of contract. You didn't know what it entails. 3 months later, now you're in it, you know, right? And we're in an industry where we have a high failure rate. Entrepreneurship is very tough. Real estate's very tough. You got 90% of realtors failing and dropping out of the business in the first 3 years. Like, what did you do initially to start creating success in those beginning years or that first year or so, so you didn't become one of those statistics?
So I really jumped in. I mean, Coldwell Banker has a good fresh start program, and I just took everything to heart. In the first year, it wasn't one thing. I just was trying everything. I tried to farm. I talked to 10 people a day, you know, just kind of beat the streets. And it's not in my nature to do the salesy thing or the pushy thing. I actually took the test that they had at the time that said, if you're going to be a good realtor or not. And I've since hired the office manager that administered that test and was there for 14 years. She said that I scored the worst on that test of anyone that took it in the 14 years that she was there. But so it's not my nature just to go out and beat the streets, but I just did it. And, you know, one sale came from the farming, one sale came from calling my sphere, one sale came from, I went to a large church at the time, you know, one sale came from there. So it wasn't one thing. It was just getting out there and doing it.
Yep. Not being a secret agent, you know, right? Just, love it, man. So then, all right. So you're out there, you're hustling, man. And I'm sure it sounds like you did a good job of letting people know and become aware of what you're doing. You weren't shy about that fact that you were a realtor and this stuff's coming in. Now today you got a large team and you do a lot of business and kind of walk us through again, those beginning years of what then led you to starting a team and that continued growth.
All right. So I was a single agent for 10 years. And doing fairly well. And one of the things that I did at the beginning is back in 03, 04, 05, kind of when the websites were really taking off, people really didn't know what cost per click was. I worked at a consulting company before that the .com that failed, but I did the marketing for them. So I knew what cost per click was. I knew how to do PowerPoint. So I had some skills that put me just marginally above a lot of the realtors in the town, but it gave me a huge advantage because I could make things that look pretty. I had a good story online because I have a business degree from a well-known business school in the area, and having the corporate background and being from the area I serve, I looked pretty good online. And in realizing that, I approached a website company and said, listen, I just left a company. They owed me money. I'm broke. I need to get into real estate and do things that are going to get me above the rest. And I kind of laid out what my plan was as far as getting out there and knowing that the internet was the way to go. I said, listen, I'm going to reinvest. I basically treated it like a referral. I said, I'm going to reinvest 25% of whatever I make into you guys. And so my first closing, after that, I wrote a check to them and said, all right, just start making me stuff. And at the end of it, they made me 5 websites. They did some cost per click advertising for me. It put us on the same side of the table, and they were excited because I used to meet with them once a week, and they would basically test things on my website. And so like 2006, I think I paid them $77,000 because it just worked out so well. I mean, it was a perfect storm of the right story to tell. There wasn't a lot of people that had the websites at the time, and it was a good competitive advantage for myself just getting into the area or getting into the field and not having a lot of competition online.
Yeah, I mean, you really had the foresight. It seems like, because I got in the business in 2005, and it didn't seem till like, I don't know, about 2010, maybe even 2012, that people started really grasping, like I've got to have this huge online presence. So
right.
you kind of saw the writing on the wall way before everybody else did.
It was definitely a turbo boost for me. Like basically, I was number 1 in the town in 2006 that I served, and it was a lot of things coming together. The story to tell, like I serve on Lake Winnipesaukee, which is a giant lake. It's 44,000 acres. It's got 8 towns that surround it. The Marriotts have about 30 properties here. Mitt Romney has a house here. So there is a big price point here. So I was able to basically step in front of the listing agent that used to get all the leads, because now I had the website. When someone typed in Lake Winnipesaukee real estate, I was the person they were seeing. And I didn't have my listings up there yet because I didn't have any. I was begging and, asking the other agent, hey, can I promote your website or your property? Because I've got this great website that's up and running.
Yes, this was like pre-IDX feeds, right? So
it was like when IDX was just coming in. So my first website I built myself, and I just pasted a picture up there. But then once the IDX came in, I remember talking to one of my coworkers. I said, I bet I'm going to have a bunch of buyers. I've got the IDX built into my website. I bet you I'm going to get a bunch of buyers. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that deal. Well, lucky for me, it didn't, because it did. It was just that I referred out in 2006, $6 million worth of buyers in closed sales. You think about how many leads it takes to get $6 million in closed sales. So it was very easy. Now it's tough. Like you couldn't do that same thing now because everybody's got the websites and everybody knows how to do it. But at the time, it just was great.
Yeah. So when you were correct, because now, I mean, you had the money to be able to pay them $75,000. So you're creating success before this. Then this clicks, and bam, it's just next level. So much to the point where you had to refer out that much business. Because I'm assuming the plan wasn't just to farm these leads out. It was, look, I'm closing my own business, but I'm so damn busy that now I have to refer these out. Is that correct?
Well, and just the geography of the lake, it takes about 45 minutes to get to the opposite side of the lake. So there were some leads that didn't make sense to take them. I would take buyers on the other side sometimes, but then I got so busy with the buyers on this side of the lake that driving that 45 minutes was a waste of time. So, and I mean, the money came after. So the great thing about that deal that I did is I'd close something and then bring in a check to those people and say, all right, reinvest. So they actually got ahead of me in the development because they knew the checks were going to come in if I kept selling.
Yep. Love it, man.